All right, folks, we have a bunch of insider coaching updates. Some coaches are safe. Some coaches don't want to be here, but there were no leaks. Why was that? All that and more. Plus, we'll have a special guest coming up at 8 o'clock to answer all your questions and so much more. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Leston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, baby, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. If you're coming on in on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, baby. Get comfortable. We've got a lot to discuss. Again, we're going to have a special guest. We're going to talk about all these latest insider reports and plus take your phone call. So we've got an absolute ton to get to here on a wonderful program. So appreciate you guys joining us here on the show. Let's put the lettuce back in the cap there. Okay, beautiful. So we could get down to business. And it is this. First off, several Jets coaches are safe. We'll do a little umpire action there. There's expected to be some turnover on the staff. But there were some coaches that were up in the air. Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic on Jets' final drive yesterday deemed 3 Jets offensive coaches as safe. And let me read the specific quote from Zach so I can be as clear as possible and how emphatic their returns are, that they are safe. This isn't, well, I think they're going to be safe. This is this from Zach Rosenblatt, direct quote from Jets' final drive, the SNY digital TV show yesterday. Quote, as for the rest of the staff, what I've heard, I know for sure that offensive line coach Steve Hyden, the tight ends coach, which is Jeff Blasco, and the wide receivers coach Sean Jefferson are all for sure back. So again, to reiterate that, Steve Hyden, our offensive line coach, safe. Tight ends coach Jeff Blasco, safe. And wide receivers coach Sean Jefferson, safe, according to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. Steve Hyden has been coaching football for 13 years. Sean Jefferson has been coaching football for 21 years. And then Jeff Blasco has been coaching football for 9 years, according to the New York Jets website. Going through a couple of these guys, Jeff Blasco, the tight ends, Jeremy Ruckert had a career year. It looked good for Jeremy. Mason was really solid. So, I wish there would have been more. He got hurt, and then the quarterback play was inept. So, Jeff Blasco, no issues there. Great. Our tight ends were fine. Tight ends definitely were not an issue for the Jets this year, so no problem with Jeff Blasco. We'll go to Steve Hyden. This was an important hire because Keith Carter was here last time, and it wasn't good for old Keith Carter. He was terrible. And so this next offensive line hire was absolutely key, and Steve Hyden, I thought, did a really remarkable job. We talked about health before. The Jets were the only team in the NFL that started the same 5 all season long. They're the first Jets team to do that in 14 years. So that's terrific. So shout out to Steve Hyden. I thought the line played pretty good. I know there are some statistics you could highlight. You could cherry pick and say, whoa, they gave up all these sacks. And while that's true, and the offensive line isn't perfect by any means, I think some of that can be attributed to the poor quarterback play. Quarterbacks holding on to the ball too long. Quarterbacks are running around. And we had some of that with, of course, Justin Fields and Brady Cook. So Steve Hyden, safe. Now, the one that may get some challenge flags from the audience, Sean Jefferson. I'm going to be honest. I like Sean Jefferson, the person. He's a former player in the league. He's had multiple stints with the Jets in the past. I've seen the Hard Knocks / Jets in-house documentary stuff on Sean, and he reminds me of some people in my life. Like I like he's this dad, and there's a lot that I resonate with Sean Jefferson. But if we're being candid, the wide receiver room was terrible this year. Garrett Wilson was on pace for a career year, and Garrett's special, but the rest of the room did not do great. Now, Sean Jefferson did not elevate the talent in the room. Now, maybe the talent was the talent, and he was just dealing with what he was dealing with, but Yeah, so Sean Jefferson was sort of hit or miss. So I could understand some people out there in the audience going, challenge flag on that. And then I see it most prominent in the comment section. People are asking me, people are asking the insiders, why the hell is Charles London still here, the quarterback's coach? Well, he is still written on the staff sheet. He has not been deemed safe nor fired yet. There was an expectation from insiders a week or two ago that he was going to be fired, but he's still here. So I'm not sure what they're waiting for. I understand the defensive staff stuff. So if you guys did not hear us do a show on it a week or two ago, the entire assistants and positional staff were all in limbo on the defensive side of the ball. So Aaron Curry, Eric Washington. I mean, I got the staff list here. Cameron Davis, Aaron Curry. Who else am I missing here? Dre Bly. Scanning through the staff here. Nathaniel Willingham. Alonso Escalante. Who else am I missing? I think that's it. No, Roosevelt Williams. So all those guys are in a holding pattern, as it was described on Jets' final drive, because whoever the new defensive coordinator is will have a say in those assistants, their futures. So those guys are all in a holding pattern. But Tanner Angstrand doesn't appear to be in a holding pattern. So why can't we make some offensive maneuvers on the coaching staff? That I don't understand. Let's get a couple of shout outs in here real quick, and then we'll give you guys some more updates. Shout out to my pop, who says, hey, now from Romania. Shout out to my family. Again, my parents celebrated their 33rd anniversary earlier this week in Romania, which is terrific. So shout out to them, and hopefully they're having a wonderful time. So shout out to the fam. Beautiful. I see our boy K-Brock is back, baby. Hey, now, with a super chat shout out.
Wow.
K-Brock, a member for 13 months, says, was away for a few weeks, but I'm back. Jet the F up. Great to see you, K-Brock. Welcome back, brother. Yeah, we've kept the seat warm, pal. We've kept the seat warm. All right, let's get, so Charles London, long story short, his future is still up in the air. We don't know. We don't have an update yet on that situation. Here's some other updates we want to get to. I want to start off with this one. So the Jets shared. Well, let's start back at the beginning, right? So Steve Wilkes gets fired with 3 weeks left to go. Chris Harris fills in for him for the final 3 weeks of the season. And they were like, man, who is going to be the next defensive coordinator? And all these other teams are having all these rumors. Oh, we're meeting with this guy. We're meeting with this guy. We're meeting with this guy. We as Jet fans are like, what the hell? We're hearing a whole lot of nothing on this DC search. Well, we got some new intel on why there weren't a lot of leaks with the Jets. Connor Hughes spoke to an anonymous coaching agent. It's not anonymous to Connor. Connor knows who he is, but he's not putting his name out there in the universe, and that's his source. Why would he? But he spoke with a coaching agent, and that was a concerted effort by the Jets. Interesting. Let's go to this tail of the tape. This is a clip from Jets' final drive yesterday, the SNY digital product, and Connor Hughes explained why there weren't a lot of leaks in this Jets defensive coordinator search.
They released the list of names of the candidates that they interviewed with. You know, it's funny. People were like, oh, who are the Jets talking to? Who are the Jets talking to? Like, we knew that Wink Martindale was going to interview. We knew that Jim Leonard was going to interview. I remember calling a coaching agent this week and was like, hey, man, was just curious. Like, he's very, very plugged in. Like, these coaching agents all know every single agent. Like, they all know where every coach is being interviewed and talking to. So I called him. I was like, hey, man, I was like, it's been real quiet on, like, the Jets defensive coordinator front. Like, what have you heard? Like, who's been interviewing? He goes, so I had one of my guys interview. If you don't mind, keep it on the down low. He goes, because the Jets have told all of us, do not tell the media who is interviewing or where you're interviewing. We do not want this. We want to keep it completely and totally in-house. So the reason why there haven't been any breaks as far as, like, who's interviewing other than Wink, which obviously got out, is because the Jets have said, like, keep this in-house, like, keep this under wraps.
Part, mission success for the Jets, right? So they had 8 candidates that interviewed in the first round. And to me, I don't anticipate a new candidate being added to the mix. Our new DC is coming from that group of 8 somewhere. So credit to the Jets. For the most part, it was a mission success. Only 3 of the 8 names did we hear ahead of time. So Durante Jones, who's an assistant with the Minnesota Vikings, we heard almost... I don't want to say almost immediately. That's not a fair representation. But he was the first one we heard when there was nothing. So he was the first one. That one got out. The Wink Martindale rumors have been hot and heavy. Rich Cimini, Connor Hughes, Zach Rosenblatt. I mean, everyone has known that one. And then the one that sort of squeaked out just a couple hours before the Jets released the full list was Matthew Arujo of the Miami Dolphins. So their no league plan sort of worked to keep things in house. So not bad. By the way, another update. Man, it's a constant flow of updates. I should have put a short out on this yesterday. The Jets have gone from 8 candidates to 7. Matthew Arujo was hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was the former Miami Dolphins cornerbacks coach, and now he has joined the Jaguar staff, which of course eliminates him from the defensive coordinator search. So we've gone from 8 to 7. So now the Jets will have one of these 7 guys as their next DC, and we'll see who that is. So from a league perspective, again, nice job, Jets. You made sure that stuff wasn't getting out, and that was the concerted effort message that you put out there. So that's good. Let's go to the bad, folks. I'm sure what I'm about to share with you and what you're about to hear from a pair of insiders is not going to surprise you, but it is the facts of the matter. The Jets were rejected by multiple coordinator candidates. So in other words, Jets reached out to insert name candidate. Hey, you want to interview for the DC job? And they received a couple. No thanks, I'm good. And apparently, 2 of those names, according to Connor Hughes, who we're going to hear in a second, are big name fish. Right? We're like, oh man, why aren't the Jets looking at big name fish? That could be Brian Flores potentially. That could be. I don't even know because Connor Hughes didn't provide the names, but like the big name guys that were sort of going around, Jim Schwartz perhaps, that were going around the mix, gave the Jets a big old rejection. And Zach Rosenblatt said it was a lot more than the 2. So let's go to the tail of the tape. Once again, Jets Final Drive, SNY digital TV product on the Jets being rejected during this process.
This is not ultimately an appealing job. And so that's why the list came out, and it was a lot of
I do have one thing to add to that. Yeah. Can I interrupt you real quick for 1 second? Can you hold hit pause? So I did say this. I was actually talking to NYJ Max, one of that same coaching agent that I was talking to, incredibly plugged in. Like he's been a very, very helpful resource to me. This dealing with the Giants search that they've had and several other things. He wouldn't give me the names, and then I confirmed it with another coach who also he's like, I don't want to embarrass like the Jets to like say it. But they did reach out to what I heard 2 of the big name defensive coordinating candidates who were available, and both candidates just weren't interested in working for the Jets and Aaron Glenn at this time, which I understand. Like, it's a team that's not going to be very good next year. If you're a major name defensive coordinator, you're going to have like major suitors. So they just weren't interested in talking to the Jets. That's not entirely uncommon. People got super angry about the Jets not putting in requests to interview Ben Johnson last year. Ben Johnson let it be known to the Jets, like, if you send an interview request, I'm not going to take it. Like, I'm not going to interview with you. So a lot of times these, like, major candidates who are going to have a slew of interviews and definitely know they're going to get a job, like those major defensive coordinating candidates, they're going to be picky with their jobs, and the Jets just weren't necessarily an opportunity they wanted to take. So this wasn't like Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji were intentionally ignoring the top candidates out there are only trying to go for these like smaller guys aside from Wink and Jim. It's just some of the people that they reached out to just weren't necessarily interested in the opening. Back to you, Zach. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Which was what I was pretty much about to say, and then you hit the reporting part of it. Yeah, I've heard that too. No, you're good. You're good. No, I wasn't saying that because you dove into more deeply like specifics. I'd say I've heard that broadly. That code there have been beyond even just the 2 that you mentioned. I think there's been more than that were like, no, thank you. I don't really want to take that interview.
I just heard it too. Unfortunately, I heard 2 specifically sets, but I didn't hear any. Maybe it was more.
Yeah, again, this doesn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise people in the audience. This is, first off, you heard Connor Hughes say it's somewhat commonplace that rejected interviews happen all the time. They're not always reported, but they happen all the time. But specifically for the Jets, they are fighting an uphill battle here. Steve Wilkes, who they hired initially, was terrible, got fired with 3 games left to go. Now they're trying to replace him. Aaron Glenn's coming off a 3-14 season. So there is some unattractiveness clearly to this job as they're looking to fill this role. And thus the jokes on social media, see, this is why AG should have been fired. Can't get a good guy in, blah, 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 blah. To me, let's see how it plays out. Maybe he still gets Jim Leonard. And then all of a sudden, a lot of that chatter goes, woo, down because people think the Jim Leonard interview was just a favor. And I disagree. Obviously, look at people. They reject people all the time. So I don't see this as just sort of a random favor. Jim Leonard wouldn't have interviewed here if he wasn't interested in the job. Now, we'll see if can AG close the deal if that's his guy. Let's see. For Jim Leonard, and let me reiterate this, if the Jets want Jim Leonard, they can't meet with him in person until what's today? Thursday? I don't even know. All the days are coming together. So this upcoming Monday, the Jets can talk to Jim Leonard, whether the Broncos win or the Broncos lose the AFC Championship game. If they lose, their season's over, and Jim Leonard is available for in-person interviews starting on Monday. If the Broncos win, that is the bye week before the Super Bowl, and he is eligible to speak to teams in person that have previously spoken to him before. So the Jets will have their shot on Monday if they wait. Are they not willing to wait? Do they hire a guy in the next 48 hours? I don't know. So let's see. If I'm the Jets, I'm being patient. I'm seeing this Leonard thing through, especially if everyone thinks the favorite is Wink Martindale. Where the hell is he going? I haven't heard him as a candidate in any other place. So you can keep him as your fallback option if that's what you want to keep him. But yeah, I'm seeing this Jim Leonard thing through if it's me. That's what I would be doing. Let me go answer a couple of questions here. NC Green says, Aaron Glenn should call the defense and hire a game day coach to manage game. Here, I will tell you guys this. I think this is very much on the table. Because if it's true that AG can't bring a competent guy in here, and to get a competent guy, whether you agree or disagree, Wink, Jim Leonard's called plays before, Wink Martindale's called plays before. Maybe a Durante Jones would be in that group. I'm trying to think of anyone else of the 7 remaining, but let's use those. Jim O'Neill, I guess, because he's done it before. So maybe those guys would actually call plays, but the rest of the list, you could see a situation where the Jets hire Ephraim Banda of the Cleveland Browns. AG calls plays, and maybe Banda is the game day coach. There's all kinds of things that, us people, we in the audience don't understand. We think, defense coordinator, he calls plays. There's all kinds of formalities throughout the week. There's boxes that have to be checked with game planning and other things that go beyond just saying, hey, let's run this play versus this play on game day. There's a lot of extra BS basically that goes into the job. So especially AG, who would be balancing being a head coach and potentially a defensive coordinator, if that path were to come, he would need someone to help him figure out some of the extracurricular activity because there's just so much time in a day. So this is very possible. And again, there is a chance that AG can bet on himself. If he can't find, and he may have no choice, so take credit where you want to give credit, but if he can't hire a competent guy and he turns around and says, I'm going to call the defense, and he does a great job, AG's going to get a ton of credit, a ton of flowers. Wow. Okay, the Steve Wilkes system sucked. The AG system, whoa, nice. So he could get a lot of brownie points if he does that. And I would say this if I'm AG. Of course, the credit and all that would be cool. But I want to go out on my own sword. If I believe, and I'm AG, and I say, man, there's a chance I could get fired this year if it doesn't go well. And I'm AG, I'm like, then I'm dying on my sword. I'm not going to go out because I hire another Steve Wilkes and then he fucks it up on defense. I get fired and I never attempted to go call plays myself. So that's what I would say to myself if I can't get a Jim Leonard, if I can't get Wink Martindale, what have you. That's what I would say if I'm AG sort of in the thought process. So it's an interesting thought, NC Green. Let's go to another one here. This one's from Dave Briga. One Punch Briga. Just ask yourself this question. We as actual Jet fans considering the present and current future of this team, are you seriously coming here even if they overpay? And I will assume this is coaching, but we could talk about players too. We'll start with the coaching. And this is why I legitimately think the answer to this is yes. Yes. Here's why. If I'm a coach and I come over here to the Jets, right? They hire me as defensive coordinator. And it goes terribly and everyone gets fired. Well, it's the Jets. It's not my fault. It's Jets. They were fucked. Look at the roster talent, it was a dysfunctional situation. if you're the guy who comes in, you can blame it all on the situation. It's the Jets. That's what happened with Robert Saleh. He got hired by Tennessee and didn't catch any shit 15 months after being fired from the Jets and got a head coaching job because the Titans were like, yeah, it wasn't you, Sal. It's the Jets. They stink. So he got a pass. I imagine defensive coordinator that would come in this less than ideal situation would get a quote unquote pass. But here's the other thing. If a defensive coordinator comes in here and he saves the day or makes us a respectable unit, massive credit, just as I was talking about with AG. If you're a coach, you come in here and you make some plays and make some things happen on defense, you are heralded. You're like, whoa, look at this guy. Make a chicken salad out of chicken, you know what? So yes, I believe is the answer. First off, a bag of money always helps. And then number two, that thought process of what I just said. It's a win-win scenario. It's low risk, high reward. If it works out, you look like a king. If it doesn't work out, the Jets stink. That's what I think would be sort of the thought process there. So that's my perspective on it. And I see the Linderbaum stuff in the audience of like, wow, why would Tyler Linderbaum in his right mind come to the Jets? Let me just follow up here. Okay. It's a guy very much in the know. On the MC Show digital channel, we just did an interview with a guy named John Schmelk. I don't know if any of you know who that is, but let me inform you. John Schmelk is the radio pre- and post-game host for the New York Giants. He's their podcast host. He's sort of a do-it-all man. He's been working for the Giants for 20 years. He's inside that building. He joined us to recap the John Harbaugh introductory press conference on the MC Show digital channel. Sure, we talk Jets and all these other things, but we also talk Giants. They brought him on the show. And there was a lot of Jet-Giant interconnectivity that existed during our conversation. And one of them was Lurch, my partner in crime, asked John, hey, John Harbaugh comes to Baltimore. Could he get his recruiting shoes on and bring some people from Baltimore to the Giants? And Lurch brought up Tyler Linderbaum as an option for the New York Giants. And I'm like, geez, the freaking Giants. And John Schmelk indicated the Giants' cap situation isn't favorable to lure a Tyler Linderbaum in. And the Giants like John Michael Schmitz, who they believe had a really nice season this past year. So for all the people that say, Paul, the Jets have no chance at Tyler Linderbaum, he's going to be a Giant. Whoa, Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Huh? The Linderbaum dream remains alive. I just want to put that out in the universe. We had a conversation with John Schmelk. Maybe we'll turn that into a YouTube short so you guys can see it if you didn't see the full interview. I'm telling you, it's out. Linderbaum's just going to the Giants. Oh, is he? Do they got the scratch? Because we got the scratch. We're talking about money, even if we overpay. I want some Tyler Linderbaum action, baby. That is a name that is on my bingo card. I'd love me some Tyler Linderbaum. Milan asks, hey, BG, why would Jim Leonhard take this job? Besides money and a promise to be next head coach. That there would be no way that would be written into the contract. But what if you ask me why would he take this job? Why would he take this interview? That's my counter. My first counter to that is why would he take this interview? He doesn't have to take this interview. But apparently, plenty of candidates had no problem telling the Jets to go F themselves, right? Plenty of candidates said, yeah, I'm good. I don't even want to speak to you. So Jim Leonhard spoke to the Jets. That's because he's interested in the gig. So why would he take the job? For the same reason he took the interview. He has not been a defensive coordinator at the NFL level. And I'm not saying the Jets are the only team offering him that. That'd be ridiculous. Of course, he has a lot of interest around the league. But I'm sure he has a special place in his heart for the Jets. He played for this organization. When he last played for this organization was the last time we made the playoffs. There's some glory there for Jim Leonhard. And there's a lot of connective tissue. He knows a lot of the people in the building. He crossed over with AG in Cleveland. He crossed over with Muji in 2024. He was a former Jet, so that certainly helps him from the love of the organization. This isn't the Arizona Cardinals and some random team on the map. It's a team that he played for multiple seasons and had a lot of success. So why would he take the job? Personal, professional? There's plenty of reasons. Alon says common courtesy, but what about all those other people that told the Jets to F themselves? Where was that common courtesy? So the common courtesy only falls where it fits? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Hep says we can't afford expensive elite players. We're not there yet. I push back on that. Of course we can afford it. We're going to have projected, again, depending on your cap side of choice, we're going to have over $100 million. Of course we can afford elite players. Yes, the Jets. And here's the thing of the split, right? Some fans believe this 2026 season is going to suck and we're going to be awful. And we're like, some of those fans say, save your money for the future, Jets. You're going to be terrible. No point in wasting your money now. You're going to be terrible. And I say, AG is still the coach of this team. He wants to win. He's not going to roll over and die. He's going to spend money. He's going to be aggressive this offseason, especially if he feels the heat from the fan base and from the ownership group that if I don't win, I could be out. That guy's definitely going to spend money. So he would totally try to bring in elite players. So I push back on that, Hep. I do. Super chat coming in from Mac Mahar Khalil, baby, here on the program. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. And every time we get a super chat, we hear from my daughter, Zariah.
Wow.
Good morning. You can make a great defense on a horrible team with a horrible offense. You can make a great defense on a horrible team with a horrible. You sure? Yeah. I mean, 2023, prime example. Offense was terrible. The defense was elite. I mean, we constantly held teams to under 15 points, and we lost those games, which is somewhat unbelievable. So, sure, yeah, you can have a great defense on a terrible team. I mean, we've unfortunately seen it a lot as Jet fans, candidly. So, yeah, that's totally on the table. Now, some will say, and apparently Zach Rosenblatt wrote a piece about this, excuse me, on my speaking. By the way, Mac, you're up to 13 raffle tickets for our contest this month. More on that later. Some of the perception of like, this Jets job isn't attractive, some people say. And you just heard it from that clip. Zach Rosenblatt wrote a piece last week. And so one of the other reasons, so the Aaron Glenn lame duck stuff and all that, that's a part of it. But like the talent level, like, what's the talent level of this team was another factoid in like why this may be unattractive. Well, again, the question the Jets have to answer is how much of it was scheme and how much of it was shitty players, or was it a little bit of A, a little bit of B? That's what they got to figure out. And then if you're a defensive coordinator coming in, the blank canvas thing I think is intriguing. You've got the number 2 overall pick that could totally be a defender. You have the 16th overall pick. You have the 33rd overall pick. You have the 44th overall pick, and you have $100 million in cap space. You can bring in guys if you want to bring in guys to mold the defense into your vision. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to do that, quite frankly. A lot of opportunities to do that, to mold it in your vision of what you want. That's totally on the table, Mac. I appreciate the super chat. NC Green, would Buffalo hire Dable? Apparently, from everything I'm hearing up in Buffalo, I'm closer to Buffalo than any other team of Jets or Giants. The Buffalo Dable stuff apparently is serious, super real. Josh Allen loves Dable. They would bring him back. So, yeah, there is a path to him being the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and apparently that is real. And if he does not go there, apparently, he's expected to take the offensive coordinator role under Robert Saleh in Tennessee. So, wow. So, I can't. But when I heard the name, I'm like, Brian Dable, the guy who got fired by the Giants? That's the guy you're going to bring in and say, Bills fans, don't worry. We have it all figured out. To go from Sean McDermott, who had gone to the playoffs in 8 of his 9 years and was a wildly successful head coach in the NFL, to go to Brian Dable, who was a wildly unsuccessful head coach with the Giants. Oh, boy. That's good news for the Jets. What a disaster. That is unbelievable. For sure. Let's see. Let's answer some more of your comments here. Again, we're about to be joined by a special guest. And just as I say it, I just rubbed a magical magic genie lamp. And let's do it, folks. We have over 300 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe here on Boy Green Daily. We have a special guest joining us, making his return. And tomorrow is his birthday, for God's sake. So let's bring him in. Nick Faria, the beat reporter for JetsXFactor.com. Good morning, Nick.
Morning. It's a great time to be alive. Very exciting time period. Off season's now officially begun for the Jets, and a lot to get to.
Well, by the way, real quick, I saw it must have been on Instagram, maybe, but to celebrate the birthday, to go to the real Garden, suck it, Knicks fans, TD Garden. I mean, beautiful, and then a Celtics win too against the Pacers. Oh, great game, very nice, Nick. Huh?
It was a nice little deal I got. Was able to take my mom, was able to take my wife, and just had a nice little get together out in Boston for a little bit. Had some good food, good service.
Ooh, nice.
So very, very enjoyable.
Oh, for folks who have not been to TD Garden, absolutely, I've been there countless times. They got all kinds of family in the Massachusetts area, an absolutely beautiful arena. So it is terrific.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
100%. So yeah, let's dive into it. I'll let you comment on a few of the things we sort of discussed today here. So first off, the DC leaks, or no leaks rather, for the most part. The Jets had 8 candidates that they interviewed in the first round. 3 of them ended up getting out in some form or fashion, whether it was days before or hours before the full list ended up being dropped. It sounded like from Connor Hughes speaking with an anonymous coaching agent that was on purpose. The Jets told all these guys, hey, don't share any information. We want to keep this on the down low. And for the most part, they were able to be successful in that. Does that really matter? Because like a lot of other teams didn't apparently give a flying hoot, because it was all over Adam Schefter reporting that this guy was meeting with this team and this guy was meeting with this team. The Jets prevented the leaks for the most part. What's the significance of that in your mind?
There's not really, to me, there's no competitive advantage of, who are the Jets going to interview here? What's going to happen there? There's no real advantage that the Jets are making in this kind of process. But I will say it should be a welcoming sign for fans, because for so many years we have seen leak after leak after leak after leak. When things go wrong, the rats are jumping the ship and they're talking about it everywhere they can. And yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on this organization, particularly this regime with Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. If they don't show improvement next season, they could very well be looking for a new coach in 2027. The fact that no one really seems to be willing to talk about that, willing to sort of have those leaks, I think is a feather in the cap of the organization. It's not a massive feather. They still have to win. But it's still something like, hey, we're not going to be sharing some of these things that normally you would expect. They were very upset about the Garrett Wilson injury announcement, even though he never played again, and it was completely correct. And they were very, very upset about that. And I think the organization said, we don't want to be the team that leaks everything. We want to be, a tight run ship. You're never going to hear anything about it. It can be commendable, of course, but if you're not winning, then really what difference does it make? What advantage are you getting by not telling anyone anything? It's kind of that disconnect between the fan and the media, where the fan wants to know what's going on. They have a right to know. They pay for the product. But if you're not saying anything and you're winning, well, then fans can be forgiving of that. But if you're not saying anything and you're losing, then people start to get a little frustrated.
Nick, is it on your bucket list for at some point in the future that AG in the middle of his press conference goes, ask Nick, ask Nick. He has the answers, ask Nick.
Probably at the top of my list now. Probably at the top of my list now.
Which again, folks, for those that missed it earlier this season, when Rich Cimini, a good mutual buddy here, broke that Garrett Wilson story, that is where AG went, and he was very upset. Unfortunately, the drama, if Rich would have been there when that happened, Rich was not there, so that probably cooled the flames of where it could have gone, which may have been funny, but unfortunately not. So we'll have to wait for that on the next Rich Cimini interview. Let's go to this. Several Jets coaches have been deemed safe by Zach Rosenblatt, 3 offensive coaches. And I'll read you the names. You tell me if there's any surprises or any thoughts on any of them. Offensive line coach Steve Hayden, tight ends coach Jeff Blasco, and then wide receivers coach Sean Jefferson are all, quote-unquote, 100% back, according to Zach Rosenblatt's reporting. Do you have any surprises about any of those individuals?
No. I think Hayden was a very pleasant surprise this offseason and throughout the entire season. Armand Membu looks like a top 5, top 10 right tackle in the game. You've got great work in the interior. Yeah, sure. You could upgrade Josh Myers, but he played well this season. Joe Tippin, one of the best guards in football. John Simpson played well. Olu Fashanu struggled at the beginning of the year, but really had a very good sophomore season all the way through. So to me, the highlight is Hayden, keeping Hayden. because he was a really good offensive line coach, and he was a big question mark for a lot of fans. And I think the Jets faithful should be at least a little appreciative that they have a good offensive line coach in that retrospect. No real surprise at tight end or wide receiver. I think the big takeaway, obviously the one name everyone wants to talk about that was not on that list, is Charles London, the quarterback coach. And I know a lot of fans were intrigued and frustrated because they haven't heard the tweet, Charles London will not be with the team in 2026. I think people need to remember and understand when it comes to position coaches, you aren't going to hear that. It's very, very rare to hear position coach X gets fired. What you do hear is Aaron Glenn announces 2026 staff. Aaron Glenn announces changes to offensive staff. You never really see this guy got fired, unless it's for a coordinator or head coaching job. So for those that are demanding, well, why hasn't London been fired yet? Hold the horses. The entire coaching staff needs to be announced. And it's not just him either. It's not just the quarterback coach. It's the defensive staff. Who's going to be the defensive line coach? They had a very disappointing linebacker room. Will they upgrade the linebacker room? These are questions that are going to be answered, but they don't have to be answered yet because they aren't going to announce their coaching changes just yet.
Well said, because as much as that would appease the fan base, to see Charles London in a social media post, his head on a pike, that fans are like, that's what we're looking for. I don't believe the Jets are going to feed the animals as it pertains to that. We have a super chat coming in from Chef Kevin Gilbert. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Morning, Boy Green, and happy birthday, Nick. The quote only garden is MSG. Your response?
So listen, I grew up in Rhode Island, so okay. I have a different assessment on that because the original Boston Garden is iconic. I'm not saying it's as iconic as Madison Square Garden, but it is an iconic venue. And changing it to TD Garden, I consider it the same thing. There's a lot of history there. I grew up loving that stadium. I don't think there's any such thing as only Garden. I don't think that's very fair. As great and iconic as MSG is, it's the mecca of basketball. There can be two Gardens. Let's be real here, people.
Yeah, let's be real. We know which one's second. Chef, but thank you very much for the super chat, pal. Appreciate that. Let's get one more in here on the insider things to catch up on some of the things we were talking about here on the show. This was reported not as directly, but Zach Roseblatt reported last week that several coaching candidates, basically AG, reached out and they were like, yeah, I'm good, thanks. And that was sort of a report for last week with The Athletic. Then on Jets Final Drive yesterday, Connor Hughes said two big name. He didn't reveal who they were, but two big name coordinators. And again, some of the ones I guess you could speculate on, the Brian Flores's, the Jim Schwartz of the world, maybe some of those bigger guys that were sort of floating around out there. Two of those big names absolutely said, no thanks, Jets. Zach Roseblatt chimed in and said, it was more than two that said, hey, Jets, it's not happening. Your response to that, because there are some people in the audience that are AG detractors, AG whatever you want to call them. So this report pours gasoline all over their fire. They're like, exactly. This is why I didn't want AG back, because look, he can't get a damn coach and blee, blah, blue. So what's your reaction to apparently several big names, and beyond that, according to Rosenblatt, told the Jets to pound sand?
I think those people, those Aaron Glenn detractors, are blithering hypocrites. And I'm going to make that very, very clear. I think they're blithering hypocrites. Almost everyone last season was arguing with me when I was pounding the table. Do not hire for culture, hire for scheme. Hire an offensive mind that can come in and develop a quarterback the right way. And everyone told me the Jets need a culture guy. They need someone that can come in and change the culture in day one. No one can tell me what changing a culture actually entails, though. What in reality, the only way you change a culture is by winning. It's the only way. You can close up all the leaks. and throw in accountability. Aaron Glenn's has thrown accountability out there. He's fired coaches. He's released players who have struggled. He's been accountable, but they haven't won because culture, this incessant belief that you need a culture guy, a rah-rah Bill Parcells type who's going to come in and instantly flip everything around. That doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist in the National Football League. You need a guy that can come in and understand offensive schematics or defensive schematics and come in and understand how to develop a quarterback. If you don't have any of that, you are not going to succeed. The people that tell me, or the people that have complained about the culture that Aaron Glenn has brought in, or the Aaron Glenn detractors, as you said, Paul, these are the same people that wanted a culture guy last year. But they don't want the particular culture that goes 3 wins right away. They want someone who's going to win 8, 9 games. So you have to figure out, Jets fans need to figure out what exactly do they want in a coaching staff. They want someone who wins, right? Okay, then you are going to have to use, in my opinion, what I call the Rooney Rule of coaches. It's not interviewing minorities. The Rooney Rule of coaches is hire a young offensive mind because they are not shackled by an old scheme. They're not shackled by the belief that their system is the only thing that works, and they know how to develop quarterbacks. They know how to develop players. If they're focused on getting a new coach, the argument has to start there. We were wrong in our anticipation of what we were looking for in what the Jets need as a head coach. When that starts, then I'll be far more open to having a conversation about that. In regards to Glenn and the defensive coordinator role, no one really should be surprised by this because, as we talked about before, he needs to win this year. I don't think he's going to be safe going into 2027. And when you have a coach that is theoretically on the hot seat, if you will, you need to figure out the right coach that's going to be willing to come in for a potential lame duck situation. Which is why, the minute Aaron Glenn talked about what he wanted as a defensive coordinator role, I tweeted out, keep an eye on Wink Martindale. Keep an eye on him because that's the kind of coach who is an assassin. It's going to be, I'll coach whoever you want me to coach, pay me, I'll improve the defense, and we'll go from there. And it made a lot of sense. Then you have these young, inexperienced guys who are focused more on scheme, who've coached under Vic Fangio and Jim Schwartz and Brian Flores and all these top guys. The Jets were never going to get these top guys, but if you can get assistants that worked under them, maybe that helps the process a little bit. So to me, I think the Jets have been smart in their diligence of trying to find the right defensive coach to run their team in 2026. But it's all a moot point if they don't start winning because everyone's gone after next year.
Which is the truth. So, again, it is rubber meets road time as it pertains to that. You brought up Wink. I'm curious, what's the real here? So, Wink has been rumored for weeks to be the betting favorite, early favorite, odds-on favorite to be the next DC for the Jets. And there's been a lot of reports that have suggested that Aaron Glenn and Wink have been speaking since before the end of the season about that potential partnership. And regardless if AG wanted to do it right then and there, he couldn't because of the Rooney Rule anyway. You have to interview at least 2 external minority and or female candidates, even for the coordinator roles, for that to occur. And so far, the Jets have checked off those proverbial boxes so they can hire who they want. But on the Wink Martindale stuff, which one was more the truth, do you believe? Wink is the favorite, and that's just going to happen? Or is Wink Martindale's agent just doing a lot of work in the streets and getting that name out there, floating above and beyond? Because we just credited the Jets for, wow, they haven't had a lot of leaks. But then the squeakiest wheel on the car is Wink Martindale's going to be the next Jets defensive coordinator. So which one's more truth? That it's actually going to be Wink, or that Wink's agent is just doing a lot of great PR work for Martindale right now?
I think it's more somewhere in the middle because I mean, from the beginning, it has been, Aaron Glenn wants a coach who plays a lot of man and is going to blitz a hell of a lot. And there's one defensive coordinator out there that is kind of along those same lines, someone with experience, someone who can develop players, and that's Martindale. It's always been Martindale.
Sure.
There are other names. Obviously, I think Jet fans would throw a parade if Jim Leonard is the defensive coordinator right now. Let's put it that way. The track record at Wisconsin, at Denver, really, really impressive. I think most fans want Leonard to be the guy. But again, the Ravens need a defensive coordinator. The Steelers need a defensive coordinator. The Cowboys, the Commanders, all these teams need coordinators, and they all made the playoffs a lot earlier recently than the Jets. So to me, it's about what Aaron Glenn truly wants in his next guy. Does he want a coach that is young, that's going to develop the defense in a linear way, or does he want a guy that can bring in immediate results? That's the big question. And because some of these big names haven't really come up and said, oh, I'd be willing to coach the Jets, he's going to look and say, okay, well, I want someone who's going to run my scheme and understand it really, really well. And I think Martindale, for all the problems that he had in New York, what we tend to forget about, in 2022, that Giants defense was a lot better than people gave it credit for. They were keeping the offense in a lot of games. They were playing well. In Baltimore, he coached a really good defense with top 5 finishes. The difference is, like every coach in the NFL, if you don't have the players, the scheme can't save them at times. That's the big problem. Everyone talks about, oh, Sean McVay, he can win with anybody. Sean McVay went 5-12 a couple of years after his Super Bowl run. That actually happened. So it's not just about, oh, it's this, it's that. We need a guy that can come in and develop players. You need the talent. And if they can come in with an infusion of talent this offseason, I do think there's merit to having Martindale come in and sort of fix this defense immediately.
Again, we have 400 people in the room, including 150 of those 400 watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, baby. For some reason, we have 55 likes. You guys are holding out. It's the holiday season. Hand those out, baby. Like the video and hit subscribe. Again, we have beat reporter Nick Faria of JetsXFactor.com making his epic return to Boy Green Daily. I see Gator McCluskey saying, Boy Green and Faria need to start a garden variety channel dedicated to planting and cultivating awful building names. I'd subscribe. All right. Me and Nick will consider that moving forward. Thank you very much. I see Uncle Indy's in the chat. And again, Indy, we're praying for your battle as you're going through chemo, my friend. So we see you out there in the audience. And, Indy, we're praying for you. So keep fighting the good fight. Brian Farrell in here say, good morning, brothers and sisters. 9 months, no alcohol today. So going strong. So Brian, amazing. I love all the success stories you guys are sharing here and the milestones that are being hit in the comment section. Thank you very much, Brian. We love you, buddy. We got some super chats coming in here. Troy Sturgis. Yes. Here we go.
Wow.
You guys think of the Mel Kiper draft for the Jets? First off, I know a lot of people hate Mel Kiper and his hair. I love Mel Kiper. He's a godfather of the draft. We wouldn't be talking about the draft like this without Mel Kiper, so blessed be he. And if you didn't see it, Nick, the 2 picks, of course, for Mel Kiper were Arvell Reese, the talented Ohio State defender with the 2nd overall pick, and then the quarterback dip of the toe in the waters, Ty Simpson out of Alabama with the 16th overall pick for his first-round mock draft. What do you make of that haul? The Jets get the 1st overall pick of all the non-quarterbacks at 2, which in this case is Arvell Reese. At 16, they get the 2nd quarterback off the board, which is the QB2 for Mel Kiper currently. So they got the 2nd quarterback not named Fernando Mendoza. What do you make of that haul? Best defender in theory, and then the 2nd best quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's a great haul overall if that's what the Jets end up going with. I do want to stress, the Las Vegas Raiders do a lot of crazy things. And if you think they're going to do the smart thing when they don't have an offensive line, they don't have a defense, and they have a lot of holes, even more holes than the Jets, and they're just going to draft Fernando Mendoza, okay, that's perfectly fine. But history kind of tells us when teams are in this situation, they don't really target the quarterback. They target literally anything else. So it's still a question mark to see what's going to happen. Pro days, the combine, all these different things are going to come up, and we're going to wait and see what the Raiders end up doing there. But if you're the Jets, essentially, you are deciding between the best non-quarterback in the draft, which is not a bad thing because you need edge rushers. And then, at 16 overall, I do think that there's a chance that Simpson could go earlier to the Rams. I do think that that's a possibility because the Rams are going to want to have that succession process going with Matt Stafford. But if Simpson falls to them at 16, listen, he's a first-round pick. Everyone that I've spoken to has said he's a first-round pick. He's just not a top 10 guy because the question of, well, he doesn't have a lot of starts is a legitimate concern. He doesn't have a lot of experience, and that's a legitimate concern for a lot of NFL teams. So the way that I look at it, if you get your quarterback in the first round, that gives you the ultimate opportunity to be flexible throughout the rest of the draft and then also in 2027. If it doesn't work out with Simpson and this coaching staff moves on and they're all fired and they bring in a new staff, there's nothing, changing the Jets from going, okay, well, we're just going to draft a quarterback again and Simpson's going to get cut or traded and we move on again. This is where having all these first-round picks come in because you can take bites of the apple without it being the worst thing in the absolute world. So the way that I look at it makes a lot of sense. There's also merit to drafting a quarterback in the second round, a Trinidad, Chambliss. There's going to be a lot of guys that I think are day 2 prospects. The one guy I look at is Clay Klubnik, the quarterback from Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the tape, it's really good. And the numbers are really solid as well. He's not a guy to me that is, he's the can't-miss prospect of the draft. He reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts, the guy that, okay, you like what you see out of him. There's clearly some issues here. But if you put him in the right system, you allow him to play his game, and he can be a guy that can be pretty damn good. He's a guy I want to see in scouting in the pro days and all these other things. Obviously, like I said, Chambliss is one to keep an eye on. And whatever people think of the Carson Beck, Garrett Nussmeier, Diego Pavia, like these guys that are older, a lot of experience, but didn't really do much with that experience on tape. Listen, this quarterback class, it's not a top dynamic class, but there's still some arms here that can really be intriguing. Simpson is certainly one of them.
Yeah, speaking of Simpson, our Tank for Ty character in the audience, Simpson's QB1. So hey, maybe he goes number 1, and Fernando slips Tank for Ty. I know that's something you've been championing for many months. Love this, love that account, Tank for Ty, beautiful. And now the Jets are here with the number 2 overall pick. So thank you for that. Another super chat coming in. This from Lou B, Super Jets fan here.
Wow.
I'll ask his question and also expand out the topic from yesterday. There was another thing that came out from ESPN NFL insider Jeremy Fowler. He spoke to industry sources and said, hey, he's trying his goal of that article. Hey, help us predict some big things that are going to happen this offseason. And one of the things those anonymous NFL executives spoken to existence, maybe we'll see, is that these 3 big name quarterbacks will be made available to the Jets if they want them. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Geno Smith, Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray, and Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. They will all be made available to the Jets, and it'll be up to the Jets whether they want to do anything with these quarterbacks being made available to them. So I'm curious your thoughts on that. We'll work in the Luby Super Chat here. Kyler, how much money would AZ eat in a trade? Could we get the 34th overall pick? He's talking about the second round pick, essentially a Brock Osweiler thing where the Jets eat money from them to save them, and thus they have to pay for us to do it. This could be the best of the worst. We could take a quarterback with 34th overall. In theory, the Jets would have back-to-back picks, 33rd overall and 34th overall. So a lot to unpack here, Nick. You could pick out the 3 quarterbacks if you have any preference between them, and Kyler being one of those 3. Would you be interested in a Brock Osweiler situation? The same could probably also exist with Miami's situation, where you could eat a large chunk of the money that they're currently effed with to get some compensation. Your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Jeremy Fowler comes in and everyone starts talking about, the possibilities of Kyler Murray. I say it in November. I'm like, hey, keep an eye on Kyler this offseason. And I was absolutely, butchered with a knife. Jesus Christ, guys.
Funny how that works.
And you guys complain about me. Goodness gracious. No, listen, Kyler's the best quarterback out of all 3. And he has been. The mobility, the arm talent, it's always been there. The question for him is the mental. The question is leadership-wise. What is that going to look like? I don't think it's going to cost a second-round pick. I don't think it's going to cost even potentially a third-round pick. Arizona wants to dump him. They want to start over. And with that being the case, you are going to try and get rid of him as quickly as possible. This is a very good opportunity. There's a good chance that this is a day 3 pick, or even the Cardinals release him and he signs a free agent contract elsewhere. That could also be on the table. So the way that I look at it, I don't think the Jets would want to bring back Geno Smith, particularly after how bad last year was for him. It was just a disaster. I think Kyler in this Tanner Engstrand offense could be quite good and add that element that people were hoping Justin Fields would bring, but never actually brought because he couldn't throw the football 5 yards. It was one of those things where you understood the idea of what Tanner Engstrand wanted to do, but he didn't have the quarterback, and it was apparent right away. So to me, I think Kyler is probably the top bet. If they don't get Mendoza, you want a starter that can come in and play ahead of a person like Ty Simpson. I think Kyler is 100% that kind of quarterback.
And the other side of it, again, the potential of the Brock Osweiler thing, which is what Luby was indicating here, that the Jets, again, would save. So the Cardinals right now are between a rock and a hard place. They owe him a lot of money. But if a team in a knight in shining armor arrived, oh, Cardinals, you seem fucked with this cap, but we'll help you. We'll take a big part of the contract that right now you're scheduled to be effed with. We will eat it, but we would like to be compensated for our heroics. You give us, Cardinals give Jets a top pick, or the Dolphins as another example, one of those two. You give us a 3rd round pick, you give us a 2nd round pick, and we'll eat the contract. That'll relieve you of some cap. And a lot of people project that the Jets are going to be terrible this year. If we're going to be terrible, might as well utilize cap space in an aggressive way that, again, Brock Osweiler was a bunch of years ago when the Texans traded him to the Browns. They gave them a 2nd round pick, and the Browns didn't even keep Osweiler. They just cut him and said, yeah, thanks for the 2nd round pick, suckers. That's good. But in the Jets case, they could keep one of Kyler or Tua. Is that possible? Is that made up fairyland? What do you think?
I don't think in terms of cap allocation, that's going to be something the Jets want to do. We'll eat this and lose out on a free agent that's
sure, right.
At least a little bit better. I think they're going to look and say, no, you're going to eat this and we'll give you a 4th round pick, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's just about cutting your losses to begin with. I don't see a large package going back to Arizona and honestly throw Tua in there as well. I see a combination stop with Tua. But even Tua can't play in the cold. It doesn't really make any sense for him to go to the Jets whatsoever. I have pointed out that there could be a possibility where the Raiders, with a rookie coach, want to bring in Tua to be their starting quarterback and then build the offensive line with the 1st overall pick. But again, too much for people, too tinfoil hatty for people. But again, I look, it's Kyler. I think it's Kyler as the veteran, and then probably a project of a rookie quarterback to move forward with.
Fair enough. Lou B, thanks for the super chats. You guys can keep those super chats coming if you'd like. We're about to open up the phone lines here on the program. To you, because you're the original Kyler Murray guy, Nick Faria. It was written into the stars back in Thanksgiving time as people were throwing their turkey legs at you. If the Jets, as you foretold in the stars, if the Jets end up with Kyler Murray, should Jet fans be excited about that?
I think they should be at least a little encouraged at the fact that they'll be better than 3 wins and an offense that can't operate the forward pass. It has to be that. Like, Kyler can throw the ball down the field. He can throw the ball in the middle of the field. It's just not, are you expecting him to be a playoff all-pro quarterback? No. But can you get to 8 wins? Can you show improvement? Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think they can get to 8 wins with Kyler Murray, and that would save Aaron Glenn's job. That would offer a little bit of stability for the next round at the 2027 draft and put them in a position to be somewhat successful moving forward.
All right, folks, let's do this. Your phone calls next. You can good things, bad things, everything in between. We'll play a Hep timeout. More coming up after this.
1, 2, 3. Whoa! Bugging daily, bugging daily, bugging daily. Talking Jets football, man. Moron! Bugging daily, bugging daily, bugging daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jet football with Boy Green. Everyone, Jets, Jets. Boy Green, Fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green, fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go!
Welcome back to Boy Green Daily, everybody. I'm Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. This is a New York Jets daily video show talking all things, Jets. And we have the best beat reporter on planet Earth, baby. It's Nick Faria of JetsXFactor.com joining us here on the show. We're taking your phone calls, super chats, conversations, and more. Again, we have 500 people in the room. Appreciate it. 165 of those 500 are watching on YouTube. Make sure you guys like the video. Also, hit subscribe as we make our chase to 10,000 subscribers here on the program. All right, let's start here. Neil here.
What's up, guys? Nick, how are you?
How you doing, buddy?
Good. I think I was before Nick with Kyler Murray. I was one of the first starters over it.
Okay.
I think he's copying my my takes. But anyway, I'm kidding. I was high on Kyler. I got highly criticized for that one. Remember, I bounced through your dad. Remember, I called in Paul. And I spoke to your dad before the holidays. I said, Kyler Murray, I like it. He liked it.
Yeah.
He mentioned that as well. Hey, look, it's like, what do you mean? Like, it's nothing to get excited about. But like I said, it's the worst, it's the lightest anchor in the ship that you could throw, throw onto the Titanic.
You can throw a football.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, look, Kyler Murray, to me, first of all, he is without question the fastest quarterback in the NFL.
Ooh,
he did run 20.
I don't know about
that.
No.
He was clocked at 22 miles an hour like 3 years ago with a ball in his hands. Okay, who's fat? Nobody is faster than him.
Lamar's definitely fast.
No, man, maybe Lamar, maybe. I'm telling you, Kyle Murray is fast.
I'm not saying he's not fast, but the fastest.
That's what they said. I've seen 22 plus miles an hour on YouTube with Kyle Murray. I've seen that. He was clocked at over that speed. Okay. A, B, he has an arm. He could throw a long pass.
Sure.
C, he came in as a rookie and he took his team to the playoffs. Sure. Right? As a rookie.
Third year.
Yeah,
third year.
I don't think it was first, but yes.
Okay.
He did. He did bring him to the playoffs. Yes.
And he threw for almost 4,000 yards 2 seasons of his career.
He got some great numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, 4,000 yards would make him what? He would put him on the Mount Rushmore of the New York Jets, as sickly as that sounds.
I don't know about that. Aaron Rodgers had a great statistical season.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he did. I'm saying that would put him up there. No doubt about it. Hey, listen, I would die for the crappy season everybody said we had with Aaron Rodgers. I missed that season because I miss touchdowns. I miss non-interceptions. I miss 4 touchdowns in a game. I was at the game where the last time we beat the Patriots was Aaron Rodgers, was when we went 2-1 and he threw 4 touchdowns.
I was there. Yes,
and embarrassed. I was humping a Drake May jersey. Now Drake May is humping me.
Neil, I don't know if you remember this. Maybe there's some misses on what it was, but do you miss the 10-9 score against the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, I missed it because I missed the field goal that we should have made and won the game. I missed that one.
Wait,
I missed Greg. Let me tell you something. Greg Zerloin.
You were humping Drake May, and now Drake May is humping you. Is that what you said?
That's the Patriots are humping us right now, aren't they?
I
mean, we're back to the being Patriots bitches, are we not?
Okay. I hope not. I don't want to be holding.
I hope not. I mean, did you watch the last 2 games that we played against them this year? We certainly look like they're bitches.
Hey, the first one we were sort of close, right? The Thursday football game.
Sort of close. Okay.
Yeah, we Justin Fields fumble with 7 minutes to go where we're down 1 score. That was close.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of close games. When Aaron Rodgers was there, we had a lot of close games that we lost, but we were ahead in those games. That's the difference. Yeah, this year, we were behind in those games. And I'm going to tell you something. Greg Zerloin was the biggest. The fact that Greg Zerline lost it, and I will tell you something. I watched preseason, okay,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
and that preseason, Greg Zerline was missing extra points, and I said to myself, "Wait a minute, something's wrong here." I saw him miss a couple of easy chip shot extra points, and in NFL, I don't even Justin Tucker, right? No miss, Hall of Fame kicker. Where is he now? Justin Tucker. Is he cooking in
I
the
don't.
Is
I'm
he
not sure if
kicking
I
in the
want to know where he
NFL?
is right now. I don't know where he is right now.
Yeah, okay. That tells you how quickly a kicker could turn from from the golden egg to the goose. So right now, that's what happened with Zerloin, and our coaching staff was too stupid to correct it. We had somebody in the on the team that year in preseason that went on to kick very well for another team. Who was it, Nick? Who was the guy we had competing with Zerloin that year? I forget his name. What was it?
Harrison Mevis?
No, it wasn't Mevis. It was not him. It was a better guy that went on to kick for another team. I forget who it was.
Yeah.
Spencer Schrader. The Schrader kid. Yes.
Thank you.
We lost Neil. Oh, well, his last point will be the competition with Greg Zerline. Wow. All right. Well, I don't know what the hell just happened there. That was weird for Nick's phone, or not Nick's phone, Neil's phone, excuse me. Different 4-letter N first name. DNY for life. Devin jumping in.
Wow.
Morning, fellas. Nick, great to have you back. Love to the fam. There you go. Oh, DNY for life. See, people haven't forgotten about you, Nick Faria. People have not forgotten about you, pal.
That's great.
That's beautiful. Thank you, DNY for life, which is nice. And some nice things being said for Nick. I appreciate that. That is beautiful. We'll add that to your raffle ticket total prize there, DNY for life. And I saw Philium jumped into the Boy Green merch shop and got the brand new coffee mug. I checked Discord. I didn't see a picture of it, but cheers to you, Philium. I see you said he got my new Boy Green coffee mug. Check the Discord. I don't see it in the Discord, so you may have to resend that, Philium. And send that along here. That is beautiful. Up next, Johnny Boy.
My guy, Nick. What's going on, brother?
Come on, buddy.
What up, BG?
Hey, some LGM action? Do I need to give you guys a room right now?
I'm kind of torn between it, right? Because letting go of Jet Williams, and I'm so worried that Peralta coming over here to the Mets. You know how that goes, Nick. He was great over there in Milwaukee, but then comes to us, and then he's just a shell of himself. Now he's super young.
Counterpoint. Johan Santana worked perfectly fine coming to a big market like New York.
100%. I was there when he pitched the no-no, the quote unquote no-no that he pitched, man. What a game. But Nick, for real, man, it is great to see you on here, dude. BG will let you know I was constantly asking about you, like hoping that everything
was Nick, where's Nick? He's on the side of my milk carton. Where's Nick? I'm like, I don't know. He's got a lot going on, man. But I'm glad he's back. And I didn't announce this, but my terrible host. Nick Faria will now be here every Thursday moving forward at 8 a.m. So folks, adjust your calendars accordingly. Nick Faria, 8 a.m. Thursdays. So that's his new time slot.
So Nick, I wanted to ask you a few questions. In regards to what's going on over there in Philadelphia and how it kind of like relates to the Jets. So
if you tell me that Jalen Hurts is getting traded, I'm shutting everything down here and running away. Like, I'm not standing for it, man.
Well, that's one of the things, right? Like you don't have a good season, you do bad, you get knocked out, whatever. People are calling for the coach's head and the quarterback's head. So it's funny on how the NFL changes so quickly when you guys just literally won a Super Bowl. I mean, I don't even know how.
11 months ago.
Yeah, literally, right? So
what is wrong with you Eagles fans, by the way?
Yeah, let me explain.
It just never
I'll give it a
yes,
full baseline for
great.
it.
Great.
Eagle fans are spoiled rotten. We are absolutely spoiled rotten from the run that we're on over the last decade. That's number one.
Sure.
WIP exists solely to be upset about everything that is created in Philadelphia sports. So there was one anchor yesterday who said that the Eagles haven't hired an OC job, and because they weren't able to get a Mike McDaniel or a Brian Dable, that is because of Jalen Hurts and his deficiencies at quarterback.
Wow.
And they need someone who doesn't have as many deficiencies. Well, again, Josh Allen, top 2 quarterback in the NFL, turned the ball over 5 times and lost in the divisional round. He's never been to a Super Bowl. He absolutely mentally collapses in the big moments. But Eagle fans want that because they want nice and shiny. Philadelphia media exists to sell the next thing. Don't be happy about this. Be upset that we're not here. I mean, I remember at the parade, I was driving to Philly for the parade, and WIP was literally going, yeah, Jalen didn't have a really good year, though. Okay, he's a Super Bowl MVP, but he didn't really have a good year. We'll celebrate, but is this really something to celebrate here? Like, what are we talking about? This is the kind of stupidity that Philly sports fans have to listen to. So to me, I do think there are a lot of Eagle fans out there that are appreciative of the fact that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have won more than anyone else in the franchise's history, including Andy Reid. But then there are other people that are just contrarians that want to be the loudest guy and want to be the guy that says, see, I told you Jalen Hurts sucked. He lost a playoff game to the 49ers. Okay, what happened against Kansas City Chiefs? Oh, that was the defense. No, clearly it was not. He won Super Bowl MVP. It was fantastic. So a lot of stupid people are talking about what's going on in Philadelphia. Let's just put it that way. The only thing that I think Jet fans should keep an eye on in that situation is what happens with Tanner McKee. There was an article by The Athletic. I laugh reading this. That said, sources outside the league expect Howie Roseman to draft a quarterback this year.
Yes, I saw that.
And if it wasn't so hilariously out of context, I would bring it up. I wouldn't bring it up. But Philadelphia has a history of always drafting a quarterback on day 3 because it gives them the opportunity to have the lowest amount of capital, of cap, given to the backup quarterback position. Instead of paying $10, $15 million for a backup quarterback, you only have to pay $1 million, $2 million. It's that quarterback factory of backups that Philadelphia has loved to do since the Andy Reid days.
Sure.
What that also means is Tanner McKee, in the final year of his deal, is going to be available on the open market. I think it's more than likely he gets traded. With him being traded, they need a backup quarterback. So, of course, they're going to draft a quarterback this year. They're going to have the backup that Tanner McKee was and move on like that. There's no indictment of Jalen Hurts. It's no indictment of Nick Sirianni. It's just part of their process and how they stay ahead of the cap. And the way that I look at it with Eagle fans, they're very, very spoiled. They're very passionate. You know, they're not like New England fans. They're not like Patriot fans they're spoiled. And the minute something bad happens, they just abandon the team. But no one really thinks logically before spewing nonsense about this football team. People are upset because Jalen Hurts is a limited passer, and that limits the coaches that want to come there. But then my response is, well, then why did Kellen Moore and Shane Steichen, 2 now head coaches in the NFL because of their work with Jalen Hurts, why did they want to come here in the first place? Logic doesn't really dictate what happens when we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles.
By the way, quick shout out here. So Philium sent it in. He's watching. Look at the 2 most beautiful sights in the land, Nick Faria, and look at that beautiful coffee mug there, baby. So yes, Philium enjoying the show. Again, a direct link in the YouTube description down below to the brand new Boy Green merch shop, coffee mugs and t-shirts, baby. Make sure you guys hop on. So appreciate that, Philium. Thanks for showing a picture. Yes, Johnny, please continue.
And the last thing, man. So you were saying Kyler Murray, right? And everybody's on with the Kyler Murray situation. I feel like with Kyler
because
Murray,
Nick said it first. I just wanted to make that clear. Nick said it first, and then everyone else jumped on said bandwagon. But proceed. Yes.
But I feel like with Murray, if he comes over here, he needs to be put he has to have the complete coaching staff put in position. So I wanted to ask you, how important is the quarterback coach for him? I mean, from what you saw with Tanner, Nick, this year, because, I mean, you've been reporting on the Jets, I'm kind of not all the way sold on Tanner yet. I don't know. Maybe it's because we went 3-14, right?
Right,
But
sure.
I mean, are you sold on him? Like, what are the thoughts around Tanner? And have you heard any news about quarterback coaches that are going to be out there that the New York Jets are going to be able to take?
So it's a good question. A quarterback coach is very important for a newcomer like Kyler. And like I said earlier in the show, they're going to probably, I would say it's far more likely than not that they're going to make a change at quarterback coach. Aaron Glenn kind of teased it from the very beginning, and it's just kind of going to happen. The people that are down on Tanner Engstrand, to me, I understand where they're coming from, but I'm also very quick to say, look at the tape before making that distinction, because there were players all year running wide open. The scheme, to me, isn't the problem. Much like kind of how we judge Mason Taylor as a tight end, did have a big rookie season. I don't think anyone on this offense can be judged because of how badly the quarterback position was. Because Justin Fields couldn't complete a 5-yard pass. Because Tyrod Taylor didn't pull the trigger on throws. Because you had a practice squad UDFA starting the final 5 games of the season. It's very hard to determine how good of a play caller Engstrand is when he's coaching with one hand behind his back every single week, all the time, all year. So I would say I understand the jury still being out on Tanner Engstrand, but I do think he's a very good play caller. You saw the potential for that group going forward. And again, you bring in a quarterback coach that Kyler may be familiar with. It's far more enticing for a player to come in and run this offense.
Got it. And then my last thing.
Yeah.
Are you sold on Glenn, Nick? Like, what's your thoughts on
No,
that?
absolutely not. I don't think anyone should be. I think to me, if there are 2 people in this organization to be sold on, it's Darren Muji, because the process that he works with, I've seen it with so many great GMs in the NFL. He's got the right process. He figured out the right player to target in the draft. Number one, you can't whiff on a top 10 pick. He did not whiff on a top 10 pick. He was able to bring in Brandon Stephens, who had a very good season, and his trades were excellent all year. Jawan Briggs, the deals for Sauce and Quinnen when they were 0-7 or 1-7, they weren't going to save him, and he moved on from him and got multiple first-round picks. I thought Muji, to me, was far more impressive than Aaron Glenn, and I do think Tanner Engstrand, with a competent quarterback, can be really, really good. So to me, I'm not sold on Aaron Glenn at all. I think there are legitimate concerns about his coaching process. He's got to be better in-game. The in-game decisions have to be much, much better. But then at the end of the day, we have to look at it and say 1 year is not really a good barometer on if he's the guy or not. Give him that second year. If they improve, great. You give him a third. If they don't, then you throw it away and say, okay, let's get a guy who can actually develop a quarterback.
Johnny, thank you so much for the call, brother.
Later, Nick. Be good, brother. Be good, BG. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep, we'll see you. There he is, Johnny Boy, Jets Worldwide, wide. Make sure you guys check out his YouTube channel, all one word, Jets Worldwide. Up next, man with Jets tattoo, Carl joins here on the show.
Hey, Boy Green. How you doing, Nick?
How you doing?
Hey, listen, I think that this is almost getting to be an epidemic with the beat up Aaron Glenn and beat up the Jets. Okay. This is becoming like a national pastime. Let's beat up the Jets. Who doesn't want to come here? Who wants to come here? Look, if we fired Aaron Glenn, do you really think Jim Harbaugh would have came here?
Nope.
No. Do you think that we could have lured with Tomlin here?
The answer is no. The answer is no to all of it.
Right. So our best situation to be in is to give him another year. I mean, I think he's going to learn from some of his mistakes. I agree with you about Engstrom. I think Engstrom was a coach that was playing with one arm tied behind his back. I just can't take the negativity anymore. It's like, you know what? Stop listening to the Jets. Stop listening to content. go away and come back in September, because I think that I just think it's getting so out of hand. It's like, I think a lot of Jet fans live for this. They live for the negativity. They don't, I mean, I don't think they know how to act if something good happened. So when something, really,
they'll become
I mean,
Eagle fans. They'll become what Eagle fans have become.
Yeah,
They'll
there you go. That's it.
about the way they win the game.
But at least something good does happen with the Eagles. Okay,
Super Bowls,
but
nice.
it almost seems like it's becoming a pastime to beat up the Jets.
Well,
one other thing. What's that? Go ahead, Nick.
I think, and again, there are comments there that are like, there's no reason to be positive. It's not being positive. It's understanding where we are in the offseason. They are looking through the coaching staff. We can't be upset if they come in and bring in a defensive coach without knowing who the players are going to be. So instead of just saying it's all terrible, we have no idea what's going to happen, history has shown one of two things. Either Aaron Glenn is going to have a Dan Campbell-like improvement in year 2, and there's going to be things to build off of, or he doesn't, and you start a new coaching hire, and you probably bring in someone with a little better offensive acuity and who can develop quarterbacks. Either way, there's a future path for this team. There's no sense in screaming about it now on January 22nd when they're still going through a hiring process.
Well, the point is, I think that a lot of Jet fans like to scream about it, because if they didn't scream about it, what else would they be doing?
That's a good point.
I mean, really, what else would they be doing? The other thing I wanted to, if we did trade down, this was my idea, and this was something, if we trade down, let's suppose I would like to trade down to number 6 with the Browns. Okay. I think we could still get a good defensive player and ask them to throw in Shooter Sanders. What do you think?
It's not going to happen. From what I've heard, I think the Browns head coach is going to come in with the belief that he's going to give Shooter Sanders the starting role for the season. Nice. And also, if you're the Jets and you want to trade down, you have to remember, if this was for a quarterback, let's say Dante Moore had come out and said, I'm going into the NFL draft. If the Jets traded out of the 2nd overall pick and said, we're not high on Moore, we're not high on Mendoza, we'd rather just accumulate picks, the cost of a quarterback would be significantly higher than it would be right now, because there's no quarterback. What team's going to trade up for Avril Reese, for Ruben Bain? I mean, the capital you would get for a quarterback would not be the same in a trade up for a non-thrower of the football. So I think that's a key distinction we have to have here. It's not, trade down for the sake of trading down. It's what players are available that would make a team want to jump at the opportunity to take the best non-quarterback of this class. It's an important distinction that people need to remember. People can say, we need to accumulate more draft picks and trade down. Look what the team didn't do with Sam Darnold in 2021. But the difference with Darnold is that was a quarterback-heavy class. Turned out not to be in the NFL, but at the time, everyone was high on the 2021 quarterback class. So if the Jets wanted to trade down, the opportunity was there. That opportunity isn't really going to be there this year.
Okay, I agree with that. They'd have to want to trade up for a really good defensive player, and I don't think the value that you would get back would be worth the trade down.
No, I agree.
Unfortunately not. Thanks for the call, Carl.
Okay.
Appreciate you, buddy. And wow, good thoughts there. We're just running out of time, folks, but I want to give a super chat shout out. Ace of Spade here. Here we go.
Wow.
Nick Faria, any chance Muji could stay if AG is fired? Again, sort of Giant situation, right? They fired Brian Dable. They kept Joe Shane. Harbaugh's brought in, and Shane stayed with that guy. Would there be any chance of that, Nick?
I think there's a chance, but a lot of it would have to do with what happens this offseason. If Muji comes in and the team actually adds talent and the talent is there and you see the improvement in that talent on game day, but the coaching staff is just holding everything back and you can see it, and they only win like 5 games, but there's a young quarterback that looks good. There's good receivers, the defense. I think there's an argument there for Darren Muji to stay. and pick the head coach. Because remember, he was not hired first. It was Aaron Glenn.
That's
so
true.
I think that's kind of that little point of give Muji a chance to bring in his coach before that guy kind of situation comes in. I think there's certainly a possibility. But if the Jets come in and whiff at the 2 pick and they make really bad free agent signings, then yeah, I think the Jets could absolutely clean house after just 2 years.
Thank you, Ace of Spade. That was added to your super chat total. All right, last comment here will come from 04 Jets fan, and then we'll wrap up the show. 04 Jets fan, what is your question for beat reporter Nick Faria?
Well, I was going to come in and talk about trading down, but Kyle beat me to that.
Yeah,
so I got another question I formulated in my tiny little brain.
Good audible at the line of scrimmage there. Nice work. Yep. Okay.
Let's say we do trade for Kyler Murray.
Okay.
What do you think we would have to give them? And what are the chances we get some significant trade compensation and draft picks back for absorbing, I say, 3/4 of that contract?
Fair enough. 04 Jets fan, thank you for the call, and we'll answer your question. Go ahead, Nick.
I think it's a 4th round pick and then maybe a late pick swap. The money is the money, obviously. I think there's certainly a possibility that the Cardinals will hold some of that cash. But I don't see them. I don't see him going for a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick. I completely see a situation where the Jets give up a 4th, maybe a 5th, late round swap, and that's it. It's just not much. The Cardinals want to rebuild. They want to rebuild very, very badly. And okay, that means Murray's on the table. There's going to be some defensive players on the table. I think all that is going to be up for debate. And I think the Jets can have Murray for pennies on the dollar of what a quarterback of his numbers probably should.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. To be honest, I think, the Jets are likely going to tell the Cardinals because they're going to want their. So here's the thing, folks. While the fans may want to eat Kyler Murray's contract and we think we're going to suck next year, AG doesn't feel that way. AG wants to win. So when the Cardinals say, hey, we'll give you a pick if you take the money, he'll be like, yeah, shove it. You ate all the money. I'll give you a 7th, or you're going to cut him and I'll talk to him when he's a free agent. And then the Cardinals are like, all right, I guess. And then that is how the move happens. So I think they're going to be able to get him exactly as Nick described. Pennies on the dollar. And again, you hope that the, old face, new place all of a sudden sparks and works out for the Jets. And they're desperate. So, hopefully it works. That's sort of the plan. Nick, give any plugs you got cooking with all your Jets content all over the place. What do you have?
Yeah, just the typical stuff. Go on Twitter, Nick_Faria1720. That's where the articles are at. Obviously, exciting time period, waiting for a new DC. The Senior Bowl came out. We put out a top 10 players to watch heading into the Senior Bowl this morning. And we should have a number of different qualities to a number of different articles that I think will entice some fans moving forward into the offseason.
That entices me. I'm ready for Senior Bowl this week, so that sounds like must-read material for all of us Jet fans. Nick, it was great to have you back, buddy, and I'm glad you're so receptive from the fan base there in the comment section and calls. We really appreciate that. Nick, we'll see you next Thursday, pal.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Nick Faria, our Jets reporter, Jets beat reporter from JetsXFactor.com. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I got to go. Got some appointments to get to, but thank you, everybody, for the fun show. Again, on the way out, make sure you guys like the video and hit subscribe. We're trying to make a chase to 10,000 subscribers. We just recently surpassed 8,300. The next goal, we're a couple subscribers away from 8,310. And then we just keep chipping every single freaking day. Make sure you guys check out the new Boy Green merch shop down in the YouTube description down below. And I appreciate all the super chats that came in. So I want to give another shout out to everybody. Ace of Spade, DNY for Life, Lou B Super Jets fan, Troy Sturgis in here, Fastest Food Reviews, aka Chef Kevin Gilbert, Mahar Khalil, Mac Attack, all you guys with all the super chats that came through here on the program. I really appreciate it. Fun show, and it was great again to have Nick Faria back here on the program. All right, everybody, I will be back. Boy Green meets Woody's at 3 o'clock. So if you want some more Boy Green action, well, we've got you covered with a juicy topic matter coming up again later today at 3 o'clock. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you.